And the train keeps on chugging along. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show, presented by BetUS. Yes, the Knicks do indeed win their 8th game in a row. Man, it's kind of happened fast, right? Like, I know they've won 8 in a row. I've watched all 8 games. I'm like fully cognizant of what they have accomplished, and yet I'm thinking back to winning streaks of some recent years, and as me and Jeremy talked about on the episode that dropped today, you know, they won 9 in a row in the We Here season, and I remember, and like me and Andrew joke about it sometimes, it felt like, it felt like the second coming. It felt like a gift from the gods. It felt like nothing we had ever experienced before, and then you fast forward 2 years. And then they win 9 in a row right around the time of a trade for a gentleman who we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. And then it's like, oh my God, the Knicks have captivated the city. This team is finally like legit, the whole thing. And then their 9-game winning streak last year, where it felt quite literally like magic. There was obviously the Brunson, born to play basketball game in that mix, and it felt like they were never going to lose again. And they're not at 9 yet. They have one more game to go to get to 9 against the Utah Jazz, who are, seemingly ready and willing and able to trade away every single one of their decent players, except for Lauri Markkanen. I don't know that it's going to feel that differently if they win that game from the way it does right now. And the way it feels right now, I'm not trying to diminish anything. You guys know me. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I am the last person to downplay accomplishments of this team. But if I'm just being honest, it doesn't feel like the same as those other 8-game winning streaks or those other 9-game winning streaks have felt. And I think that has a lot to do with how this year has been and how this year has felt for a lot of people, where it's been, it's like, all right, wake me when, right? Wake me when they are consistently great at defense. Wake me when we get to April. Wake me when we are in, the conference finals, like all that sort of stuff. And it's been, I think at this point, if I was going to pick a theme of the season, it is to appreciate what this team is doing. And I was saying that when they were 11-8, and they were having a lot of stinkers mixed in with a lot of the good games, because I said, hey, what they're doing on offense, that's not easy to accomplish. The fact that they have picked it up so quickly and just kind of there was no adjustment period whatsoever, and they just like came out of the gate and it's like, all right, we're going to be one of the best 2-3 offenses in the league. And I'm going to say it again now, because 8 in a row is 8 in a row. To say nothing of 8 straight on the road. I know Windhorst likes to bring up that stat a lot, where I forget what coach used to look at it. Some formula where it's like, you can tell the contenders from pretenders from looking at a couple of things, but the biggest part of that is how many games over 500 they are on the road. And to their credit, the Knicks have been a good road team for a while. So that should I don't know why I wanted to start off a little bit big picture, because I don't know what there is to say about this game other than that Josh Hart is 1 of 1. There is nobody else in the National Basketball League, National Basketball Association. The Knicks don't play in the NBL. Where is the NBL? I think the NBL is in like Australia, if I'm not mistaken. The National Basketball Association. And I don't say that as hyperbole. You could even go so far as to say, because of the nature of the sport of basketball, I don't know that I don't watch hockey, so maybe there's a hockey player that has a lot of Josh Hart to him. But certainly, like baseball, football, like I don't know of any other athlete who is like Josh Hart, where if you look at his resume and like, no, I'm not gonna put up or tout the stat where he's one of 4 players in the league who's averaging 12 points and whatever it is, 8 rebounds and 5 or 6 or 6 assists, and it's him and Jokic and Giannis and probably Domantas Sabonis is the other one. Like, it's a cute stat. It doesn't mean anything because those guys are offensive hubs for their teams, and Josh Hart is he's the garbage man, and he loves being the garbage man, and he's great at being the garbage man. But I think it almost does him a disservice to put him in line with those guys with a statistical breakdown, because everybody who watches the game knows that he's nothing like those superstar players. And if you want to say like, yeah, well, that's because he's not an all-star caliber player, man. He's not, and he's never going to make an all-star team. And I'm not going to sit here and argue that like he should be in genuine all-star. I mean, it'd be cool if he got some votes. I'm not going to sit here and say he should be in genuine all-star consideration this year. But like, if there was a team out there that ever needed him to get 20 a night, could he do it efficiently on the right squad? And could that squad be pretty good? Like, if I squint, I could kind of see a scenario, because guess what? I don't really have to squint. It happened last year, and I don't know exactly how many points Josh Hart averaged after January 27th. And actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm going to go look it up. I don't think it was 20, but I know it was like it was a decent number. I mean, for the year last season, he only averaged 10 points a game, but I think I have a funny feeling that went up quite a bit after January 27th, when obviously their whole team got injured. He was at not that much higher. It was at 12 points a game, but 10.5 rebounds and 6 assists. I'm going to stick with it. I still think he could get 20 a night on the right team to go with 8-9 rebounds, 6-7 assists. So basically Draymond Green numbers. He's not Draymond Green on the defensive end of the floor, which is why, Draymond Green's a future Hall of Famer. Josh Hart is not. But he's pretty pesky. He can do some things. I really don't think there's anybody else like him. If you go down the list of role players in the league, there is nobody who checks as many boxes and who is capable of doing as many things as he is capable of doing. Well, just every time it seems like his team needs him, absolutely needs him for a pick-me-up, he's there. He's there with a 6-pack of monsters. Just single-handedly changing games like he did tonight. I mean, when he hit his 3 straight 3-pointers, I mean, they were down. I don't know what they were down. They were down after the first quarter. And I think at one point they were down by 7. And I'm pretty sure that's when Josh Hart hit the first of what was 3 consecutive 3-pointers. The last of them came after an offensive rebound, of course, his own offensive rebound, I should say, and made the score 40-39. And there was a little bit of ebbing and flowing after that, but they had the lead for essentially, or maybe not essentially, maybe actually the rest of the game. And it was all Josh Hart. And it wasn't just those 3 threes. It was all of the other things that he did. He's flying in for rebounds. Like Benji Ritholtz tweeted out a clip of Josh Hart, like coming out of nowhere, skying for an offensive rebound, leads to a basket. There are a lot of reasons why I have talked myself into this team being capable of winning an NBA title as soon as this year. And he's one of them. Like, Brunson's a big part of it. Karl-Anthony Towns is a big part of it. I'm going to get to him in a second. Obviously, it goes without saying, OG Anunoby, what he's capable of doing defensively, and McCall's kind of all-around game. They're parts of it. But Josh Hart, it's really high up there, because show me a team that won it all that didn't have a guy that, again, I just said there's nobody like Josh Hart, but like every team that wins a championship has a guy that like does different stuff, and that brings a different energy, and that energy is consistent, and it is relentless, and it is a freaking pain in the ass to deal with. And he's also pretty skilled too. And I think that's the part that, like, the last thing I'll say about him before I move on, I think that's the part that gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, is because people think of him as this, just like this Energizer Bunny who's like throwing his body around, and there's not, like, you need a lot of skill to do what Josh Hart does. To pull off the stat lines that Josh Hart pulls off. And again, he had a 20-point triple-double tonight with I don't know how many rebounds, a bunch of rebounds. It takes a bunch of skill, and you can't do it just by being an energy guy. Otherwise, that's the difference between Josh Hart and oh my God, what's the guy on the Pelicans that they played the Pels earlier this year? Like, yeah, he brings a lot of energy. Yeah, well, there's a difference between, energy guys and guys who are key contributors to title teams. So shout out to Josh Hart. Final stat line, I should say out loud, 23 points on 15 shots, 15 rebounds, 4 on the offensive glass, and 10 assists. Okay. He's really the only player that deserves to be like really singled out. Although I will take a moment to speak on Karl-Anthony Towns because I thought of this analogy as I was preparing for the post game, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try it anyway. You just bear with me. Karl-Anthony Towns is like when you're in, maybe not college. It's like right after college. Like you're in your mid-20s and you got your group of friends. And I can't speak to whether there's like a female version of this. I can only speak to my own experience. And I don't know how many people watching this like knew me when I was in my 20s, but the guy that I'm thinking of is a guy by the name of Mark Brown. And anyone who knows Mark Brown knows exactly where I'm going with this. He's the guy, and again, talking about Karl-Anthony Towns here. He's the guy who you're going out at night with your buddies, and you want him to be part of the night. Like, sight unseen, you don't know if he's in a good mood. You don't know if he's been in a shitty mood. You don't know if he's been throwing him back since 11 a.m. at, Pig and Whistle, and he's already 3 sheets to the wind. And it's very possible that the second you walk into the first bar you enter, he's going to make eyes with somebody, and it's immediately going to be, oh, we're all going to get tossed because it's just going to get ugly. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. But night after night that you go out, you want him to be a part of your night. And sometimes it's not pretty. There are moments where it's like, that's bad Karl. Like we got to rein in Karl here. But like more often than not, you're going to look up at the end of the night or more likely the next morning. And from what you could remember, and you're going to be like, man, I had a great time. I can't wait till we go out with that guy again. And that's Karl-Anthony Towns, because it's like he's having an iffy night. He's having an iffy game. And then you look up and it's like, oh, he has 30 points and 14 rebounds on like 18 shots or whatever. What was his actual stat line tonight? I may have just gotten it. 32 points on 19 shots, 13 rebounds, and 5 offensive rebounds. We won't talk about the 4 personal fouls. And it's just great. And he gives you a lot of memories. That's the best part of it. So, yeah, shout out to Karl Towns, a guy that I would always be happy to go out and grab drinks with if he's interested. Couple other things from this game, because there is definitely some other stuff to talk about. OG Anunoby, shout out to Steph Bondy, reported that he took off his elbow wrap that he had been wearing for the previous handful of games or so. And he started hitting threes in the second half, which is a really great sign. Finished the game 4 for 11 from 3, which is like, a perfectly fine percentage. I think the most notable part of that is that he attempted 11 threes and that he was comfortable attempting 11 threes in 34 minutes. Finished with 18 points. I thought it was a nice game from OG. Made a couple splash plays there. Bridges was fine. Brunson, the shot wasn't falling. Only 1 of 6 from deep. I like that he hit his first one, had the confidence to take that. But I thought he orchestrated the game very well. 2 turnovers, 6 assists, which is like probably worse than his regular ratio. But I thought Jalen Brunson came in looking to pass and not in a way that was detrimental. I thought he was looking to pass in a way that was really conducive to good offense. So good job by him. Let's talk about the Knicks bench for a minute here. So we got a little bit of an adjustment from what we've been seeing the last few games, which is the only Knicks bench players to get off the bench in the second half have been Precious Achiuwa and Deuce McBride. Tonight, you got a little bit more in terms of players to come off the bench and play actual minutes. You got Shamet opening the fourth quarter. He played, I'm pretty sure I got this right because I'm pretty sure he started the fourth. And he played until the 8:24 mark. So he played 3.5 minutes to start the fourth quarter. On the flip side of that, Deuce did not come into the game in the third quarter until there was 1 minute and 49 seconds left in the third. So Tibbs continues to be very leery of opening up his bench and taking a lot of starters off the floor in the second halves of games. And I think I'm not going to say what it tells you. I think what it tells me is that the guys that he has right now, and the name that I didn't say is campaign for the third or fourth game in a row, did not get off the bench in the second half. And I don't know that it is that. Initially I thought it was just matchup thing where they were playing some teams that were really big. I think now we could safely say that that's not the case. I don't know that he's lost trust in campaign a little bit. Something he didn't like what he saw. Feels like the Knicks were too small with him out there and Deuce and Shamet, in key moments of a close game in the second half. I don't know. I know that I've liked everything the campaign has done this season, and I don't know that he quote unquote deserves to be benched in the second halves of games. But I also know this coach. And I also know that this coach is not going to do anything at all that he thinks is going to jeopardize his chances of winning. And for the team right now, that means pushing the starters to the absolute 11th degree. And, what did that manifest in tonight? It wasn't that bad, honestly. Josh Hart was the only guy who played a ton of minutes. He played 41, and that was because I think he left him out there a few minutes extra because he was trying to stat pad. And I think Josh Hart wanted to be out there a few extra minutes so we could stat pad. And then you had Bridges with 36, Brunson with 36, OG with 34, and Towns with 32. That's fine. Still, it's tough to look at this team right now and not say that they don't need another guy who Tibbs trusts. And trusts regardless of opponent, regardless of scenario, close game, second half, I'm still sending you out there for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, And is that a message to the front office to go make another acquisition? Because here's the thing, and I just went on with Dexter Henry, and shout out to Dex. What a run he had with the SNY partnership with New York Post, and I'm so excited to see what he does now moving forward, exclusively with the Post in his new digs. I'm looking forward to checking those out a little bit further uptown. And I appreciate him very much having me on the show that aired today and also all the times he's had me on over the years. So, yeah, shout out Dexter Henry. One of the questions he asked me in CP when we were on the show today, or that aired today, we went taped yesterday, was about the whole concept of Mitchell Robinson. And do you trade Mitch for a wing or something else or whatever? And I know this. I know that if they do hang on to Mitchell Robinson, I don't know that that's going to impact the specific thing that we're talking about here, which is having another perimeter player who Tibbs feels comfortable putting in the game in a tight spot in the second half. And we haven't even crossed the bridge of, well, what if Josh Hart or OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges got banged up for a few games or, God forbid, a few weeks or longer? Like, what would they do then? So, I don't know. It's an interesting scenario. It was nice to see Shamet get minutes in the second half. I thought that was progress. He's clearly trying to find a shot. I thought it was nice to see him make both of his threes tonight. That's a great sign. I thought Precious did some nice things. Tough matchup with Valanciunas. Deuce got it going a little bit, started 0-4 in this game, finished 3 for 8, so that's a great sign too. Try to think about anything. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I should last three things. One, I thought in terms of like, why was this game as close as it was for a half? I thought Josh Hart summed it up. Sometimes it takes us a little while to wake up, but we always do. That's what he said. Josh Hart said after the game ended in the courtside report. I was watching this game in the first half, and I'm like, this team is bored. That was my assessment. This team is bored. Like, they know they're good enough to kick the shit out of these crappy teams. You know, sometimes it comes to bite them in the ass. Tonight, obviously, it didn't. Is it living dangerously? Yeah, of course it is. But like, am I going to really get on them? They're 23-10 and they've won 8 games in a row. Come on, I'm not going crazy about that. That's number one. Number two, let's do our autograph signature moment of the game. Couple contenders for this one. I think I am going to go with Josh Hart's 10th assist to get him his triple-double. It was to Karl-Anthony Towns on an alley-oop. It gave the Knicks their biggest lead of the game, 112-97, 25-point lead. Again, fitting that it has to go to a Hart moment, although I did think that there was a possession towards the end of the third quarter where there was some fantastic passing that ended up with a wide open look under the basket. That was, I think Josh Hart was involved in as well. Anyway, so yeah, Josh Hart's 10th assist, autograph signature moment of the game. Go check out the Autograph app. If you don't have the Autograph app somehow, go download it. Use code KFS. I am going to have something up there tomorrow, my 3x3. I did this last week as well. I'm going to do it again this week, where I'm putting that out on Tuesday because I wanted to get in my thoughts on the Monday night game. So check for exclusive content from me on the Autograph app coming your way tomorrow, and get rewarded for your fandom. Okay, that is number two. And then number three, before I make sure I didn't forget anything else. Yeah, number three, last thing, shout out to Jose from IKEA in Brooklyn. I went there earlier today with my 2 daughters. We had to get some storage furniture stuff because they got way too much crap for Christmas. And Jose comes over to me, introduces himself, says he's a big fan of the show. So quick shout out, Jose. You're the man. And it was good meeting you earlier today.